Okay, so my thing is wearable technologies. I'm an artist and a researcher. I work in media, new media. What happens when it all goes wearable? My friends, we are in the era of the Internet of Things. Computers are becoming tiny little bits that you can attach to your body, more so than your own iPhone remains permanently in your pocket now. So when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at digital urbanism. When I look out into crowds of people and everyone's holding a camera that can also compute, I wonder where we're going. Christian Nold is an artist who's created his own biomapper. He made a map of San Francisco. This little tool, handheld, registers emotional response to spaces and places where he goes. Dolores Park, and he annotated this. Each little dot, the red dots are more excitement, the darker dots are less excitement, and they're geospatially located by GPS. So these kinds of emotion maps are one direction that we can begin to inhabit maps with while we wear our technologies. Another project he did in Paris with about 18 people in a workshop was this one. The blue lines are walks they took. The big red dots, more emotion. The little red dots, smaller. Urban Tapestries is done by a group in London called Proboscis. They start with the map as a game board and use tokens and cards and objects to start talking about community networking. That gets translated into more abstractions. This was their first prototype showing the mobile communications threads that were generated during the project with everyone using handheld devices to communicate about the places that they were. They've gone on to, this project's lasted about 8 years. This is their architecture, the network architecture map, with 3 distinct zones, one with their own database, another using, obviously, the internet to disperse the information, and then the wireless LAN and the mobile networks, and then the user environment. Another project which is, again, the turn of the 21st century, we started to see because everyone was carrying mobile phones around, data-driven maps. So artists exploring the use of mobile data and trying to visualize it, and exploring different kinds of mobile device interfaces with like using straight code or creating their own wireless networks in boxes to make portable and independent autonomous networks that were wireless. So the whole subject of the interface is really changing because technologies are becoming so small. This is a project by Petra Gemeinbeck. She's a German artist living in Australia. She invented her own geospatial information, GIS mapping, and it looks like this on the mobile phone. So the holes, which look like holes in fabric, are actually where participants in a mobile network could see each other and their proximity to each other. Wow, I did that slide so fast. I can't believe Nobotic Research, I showed their work earlier with that data-driven mobile mapping. They also have done projects where they look at the terminal, the end-user terminal, the computer terminal, as an interface for public space. Now, curiously, a lot of wearable technologies are coming in extremely fast now, driven by rescue and emergency funding for research in this area for firemen, first responders, you hear that term, but wearable technologies for first response. For health, how fast can you run, how much pressure are you putting on your foot, where are you getting repetitive stress injury when using your computer. So a lot of health and exercise research funding pushing wearable technologies. And the medical profession, of course, using smart fabrics, developed also in the military to register biofeedback that can go directly, wirelessly, to doctors' handheld devices or their desktop, and they can find out what's happening with their patients. MIT lab was mentioned earlier, but they've just done this amazing kind of leap in terms of us being able to occupy maps as live subjects. This architectural plan was developed by the user walking around inside of it using a sensor vest. So the Internet of Things and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth interfaces are now sewable onto our pants, as in Rachel Lyra's Pants Interface project. We can wear small wireless antennas on our body. The big question is, what starts happening when the world becomes embedded with all of these little patches, and what kind of dialogue can we begin to have with the space around us and the environments around us? How many data streams will be possible? How is that going to work in something I call the dynamic sensory interface get that DSI, which you can wear most fully. You could wear Steve Mann's iTap. You could wear things on your body. You can relate to the architecture directly via wearable technology. That's it. New conditions for sensing.